In the quiet corners of China, colossal cities stand empty. Towers of glass and steel reach for the sky, reflecting light, but they're devoid of life. Streets wide enough for armies lie vacant, illuminated by thousands of streetlights shining on. Nothing. These ghost cities aren't ruins. They're monuments to ambition outpacing reality. A silence that echoes across the world. Sometimes, I wonder, is this emptiness a warning, or just a pause before something new? These cities are visible on maps, yet invisible in daily life. Vast grids of infrastructure with parks, stadiums and towers, but no people. From above, they look like thriving metropolises, but on the ground there's only silence and emptiness. Streets stretch for miles, without a single car. Playgrounds remain untouched, and entire neighborhoods stand in eerie stillness. Each empty apartment is a family's savings, each silent office, a loan that may never be repaid. For millions, these vacant spaces represent hope for the future, a place to belong, or a nest egg for retirement. But behind every locked door is a story of investment, risk, and uncertainty. This is not just oversupply, it's a systemic issue woven into China's economic model with tens of millions of vacant homes. The scale is staggering, entire districts built for populations that never arrived, and the emptiness is both a symptom and a warning. The world watched China's construction boom as a miracle. But the ghost cities reveal a deeper complexity. What was once hailed as unstoppable progress now raises questions about sustainability, demand, and the true cost of rapid development. Here, building became more important than purpose, and the silence is not peace, but stored potential and mounting pressure. The empty towers stand as monuments to ambition, but also to the risks of unchecked growth. What happens when the dream of growth becomes concrete reality, but the people remain a dream? The answer lies in these silent streets, where the future of a nation is waiting to be decided. The crisis quietly took root in China's post-2008 strategy, build to stimulate growth. Local governments leaned heavily on land sales and construction for revenue. Monumental development became the incentive. The focus gradually shifted from meeting real demand to simply creating supply, betting on a future wave of urban migration that, perhaps, was never certain. Cities rose for people who hadn't yet arrived, all built on faith in perpetual growth, or maybe just hope. State-led stimulus, local incentives, and a deep cultural belief in property as investment. These forces fueled the boom. The system was designed for endless motion, land sales, construction, rising values, never really considering what might happen if things slowed down. As the gap between concrete and population widened, the silence in these new cities seemed to grow louder, and perhaps it still does. To truly grasp the reality of China's ghost cities, we need to look beneath the surface, into the intricate workings of the country's political economy. At its heart lies a tightly woven system, a closed loop linking local governments, state-owned banks, and powerful property developers. Each depends on the others, forming a cycle that's hard to disrupt, and even harder to change. Local governments, eager for revenue, rely mainly on selling land to developers. Developers then borrow huge sums from state banks, using that land as collateral. Everyone in this loop is betting on one thing, that land values will keep rising. This fuels more construction, more profits, and becomes the engine of local growth. These construction projects employ millions, offering jobs and a sense of security to the growing middle class. For many families, owning property is seen as a path to wealth and stability. The system is built to maintain social stability and economic momentum, even if that means sacrificing efficiency or long-term sustainability. The outcome? A vast inventory of empty homes, apartments that stand ready, not for immediate use, but as a buffer to keep the economic engine running. These empty buildings aren't just a sign of failure, they're a feature of the system itself. In this environment, property value drifts away from actual utility. Apartments are bought and sold as financial assets, a way to store wealth, rather than as homes to live in. Many units remain empty, serving as investment vehicles for individuals and families. This creates a paradox: entire cities filled with empty homes, while prices keep climbing. For many young people and families, the dream of homeownership slips further away, locked out by high costs and speculative demand. In the end, the system is built to create financial assets, not homes for people to live in. As long as faith in ever-rising property values holds, the machine keeps turning, driven by belief, speculation, and the hope that tomorrow's prices will be higher than today's. Local officials, state-owned companies, banks, and early investors benefit from the construction cycle and rising property values. Ordinary families pay the price, investing life savings in distant, unfinished districts tied to decades of debt. Their security depends on the fate of these silent towers. Soft sigh. The risk extends to China's financial system. Developer debt threatens banks and global investors alike. The real cost is systemic fragility and growing social disillusionment as young people are priced out of real homes. Soft exhale. The social contract of hard work leading to home ownership is fraying. Ghost cities stand as monuments to this disconnect. Too much housing, yet none truly affordable or livable. The future, well, it doesn't offer any easy answers. China hopes to grow into its cities, but with economic growth slowing and the population having peaked, the path forward is, honestly, clouded with uncertainty. The gleaming towers and sprawling developments that once seemed to promise unstoppable progress now stand as reminders, maybe even warnings, of the challenges ahead. As the country faces demographic shifts and changing global dynamics, the question lingers: can these vast urban landscapes truly be filled, or will they remain empty monuments to ambition? A long stagnation could trap a generation in negative equity, leaving families burdened by homes worth less than they paid. Banks, already stretched by risky loans, could be crippled, and the ghost cities, once built in hope, may become permanent scars on the landscape, haunting reminders of overreach and miscalculation. The warning here, it goes far beyond China's borders. It's a lesson for any nation that equates development with construction alone. Around the world, cities are rising at breakneck speed, but without real demand, these projects risk becoming empty shells, testaments to misplaced priorities and unsustainable growth. Debt-fueled, state-driven growth, untethered from genuine economic need, is a dangerous game. When investments are made for the sake of appearances, or just for short-term gains, the consequences can ripple through entire economies, destabilizing financial systems and eroding public trust. You can build the hardware of a city, its roads, towers, plazas, but not the software, the community, the culture, the real economic activity that gives a city life. Without people, purpose, and participation, even the most impressive infrastructure remains hollow. Ghost cities reveal the limits of central planning and the risks of financial assets detached from reality. They show what happens when optimism outpaces practicality, when investment is driven by speculation, not genuine need. These empty towers and deserted streets, they're monuments to an economy of expectations, where the gap between narrative and reality can only stretch so far before it snaps. They stand as silent witnesses to the dangers of unchecked ambition and the importance of aligning vision with reality. The world has watched China build at an unprecedented scale. Now, it waits to see if these cities will find their purpose. Short pause, slight uncertainty, or if the silence will endure. A cautionary tale, maybe, for generations to come. China's ghost cities are not failures, but the extreme result of a system that mastered building but not inhabiting. These towers force us to question our definitions of growth, wealth, and community. The silence is filled with unanswered questions. What is a city for? And who is it for? As the world watches, we're left to wonder, what sound does a dream make when it's holding its breath? In the flicker of empty streetlights, I'm reminded that true belonging isn't built with concrete, but with connection. Perhaps the real question is, How do we fill our own silent spaces with meaning?